Everyone knows that quiet person. They don't talk much. They don't interrupt. They don't rush to fill silence with noise. And because of that, people assume things. They assume they're insecure, that they lack confidence, that they're too passive for the real world. That assumption is lazy and mostly wrong. Quiet people aren't weak. They're selective. They don't speak to perform. They speak when there's something worth saying. And that single difference changes everything. Modern society rewards volume, not depth. The loudest opinion gets attention. The fastest reaction gets likes. The person who talks the most is mistaken for the leader. But psychology doesn't work that way. Mental strength isn't about how much space you take. It's about how much control you have over yourself. And quiet people tend to have more of it. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Talking constantly is often a form of emotional leakage. It's the inability to sit with your own thoughts without external validation. Silence, on the other hand, requires tolerance. Tolerance for boredom, tolerance for uncertainty, tolerance for being misunderstood. Most people can't handle that. Quiet people can. There's a psychological concept called inhibitory control. It's the ability to pause instead of reacting immediately. People with high inhibitory control think before speaking, regulate emotions better, are less impulsive, make fewer regret-based decisions. Guess who scores higher on this trait? Not the loud ones, the reflective ones, the quiet ones. Silence gives you leverage. When you don't rush to speak, you observe. When you observe, you notice patterns. When you notice patterns, you understand people faster than they understand you. That's power. And power doesn't announce itself. Another thing people get wrong. They think quiet people are empty inside. Reality, it's usually the opposite. Their minds are busy. They're running internal simulations, replaying conversations, analyzing outcomes, questioning motives, including their own. They don't externalize thought. They process it. Psychologists differentiate between external processors and internal processors. External processors talk to think. Internal processors think, then talk. Society favors the first group because it's visible, but the second group builds deeper reasoning, better foresight, and stronger identity. Quiet people don't outsource their thinking to the room. They do the work privately. Here's a part people don't like admitting. Many loud personalities rely on noise to avoid self-awareness. Silence forces confrontation with yourself, your doubts, your inconsistencies, your unresolved emotions. If you're not grounded, silence becomes uncomfortable fast. Quiet people have already faced that discomfort. That's why they don't fear it. You'll notice something interesting if you pay attention. Quiet people rarely overshare, don't rush into trends, aren't desperate to be seen, choose depth over frequency. This isn't social anxiety, this is boundary intelligence. They know attention is a currency, and they don't spend it cheaply. There's also a dopamine angle most people miss. Loudness is often stimulation-seeking. Talking, reacting, posting, performing, it keeps dopamine flowing. Quiet people tend to rely more on internal reward systems. They get satisfaction from understanding something deeply, mastering a skill quietly, observing progress without broadcasting it. That makes them harder to manipulate. No algorithm owns their self-worth. So this is why quiet people often feel out of place in modern culture. Social media rewards fast opinions, constant output, performative confidence. Quiet strength doesn't translate well to feeds and timelines, so it gets mislabeled as weakness. That's a surface-level mistake. Another trait people underestimate: emotional compression. Quiet people don't react to everything, but when they do, it's intentional. They don't waste emotional energy on noise. They save it for moments that matter. That's why when a quiet person finally speaks seriously, the room listens. Not because they're loud, but because they're precise. Let's talk relationships. Quiet people are often accused of being distant. What's actually happening? They bond slowly. They observe before trusting. They value consistency over charm. They don't connect through performance. They connect through presence. And when they commit, it's real. Not dramatic, not flashy. Real. Here's a hard truth for you. If you're uncomfortable around quiet people, it usually says more about you than them. Silence removes social cushioning. No jokes to hide behind, no small talk to mask intention. You're exposed. Some people hate that. Research backs this up. People who are more introspective tend to have stronger self-concepts, less reactive to criticism, experience fewer emotional swings, and show higher long-term resilience. They're not immune to stress. They're trained by reflection. Quiet strength isn't loud in youth, but it compounds with age. While others burn energy proving themselves, quiet people build substance, skills, judgment, perspective. By the time it becomes obvious, it's already too late to catch up. Here's the part you need to hear, especially if you're quiet yourself. You don't need to become louder to be powerful. You need to become clearer. Clear thoughts, clear values, clear boundaries. When you speak from clarity, volume becomes irrelevant. Silence isn't absence, it's containment, and containment is strength. The quiet ones aren't behind, they're just not racing for attention. They're building something slower and stronger. So the next time you see someone who doesn't talk much, don't underestimate them. They might already understand things you're still trying to explain out loud. And if this video felt uncomfortably accurate, good. That means you're paying attention. Silence has been trying to tell you something all along.